On this video, we're going to talk about solving equations, and in particular, we're going to talk about solving equations using the addition property. Now, let me explain to you what the addition property says. If you look it up in a textbook, they make it sound really complicated, but really what it says is if you add something to one side of the equal sign, you absolutely, positively have to add it to the other side of the equal sign because we're trying to keep these equations, of course, balanced out. Now, the addition property doesn't just work for addition, it also works for subtraction. We'll talk about why that is in just a second. So here's what happens. They give us this equation, 3x minus 2x plus 5 equals 5 minus 2, and they do ask us to solve. Guys, when you see these directions of solve, that means you want to have a numerical answer by the time you're done. So in our case, I want to have x equals something. So before I start this equation though, or before I start moving stuff to opposite sides, I want to simplify both sides down as low as they're going to go. So I want to go ahead and combine any like terms I can. So if you see this 3x minus 2x, those are like terms, so I'm going to put those two things together. Now, because they're on the same side, I am not going to change sides or signs of things. Guys, the only time we ever change signs is if we're moving it to the opposite side. So 3x minus 2x is going to give me a 1x, or I can just write x, because if you have an x, we assume that there's 1. So we got the x plus 5. Bring down my equal sign. Now on the right side, I also have the 5 minus the 2. Those two things are also like terms. So 5 minus 2 is going to give me 3. So I can't do anything else on the left side because x plus 5 are not like terms, so we're stuck there. And on the right side, we've just got the 3. That's when you know it's time for you to start moving stuff around. So I am solving for x. So if I am solving for x, I want to get rid of the plus 5 or the add 5. Well, what operation undoes add 5? Well, the opposite operation of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 5 from the left side. Now, if we subtract 5 from the left side of the equation, you absolutely, positively have to do it from the right side of the equation as well. So let me draw my line here. What happens with a positive 5 and a negative 5? Well, they cancel out. That was the whole point of doing it. So we're left with x equals. Now on the right side, I've got 3 minus 5. Now we can remember back from our subtraction videos that 3 minus 5 is really the same thing as saying 3 plus negative 5. Well, 3 plus negative 5, because the signs are different, we're actually subtracting. I want to take that bigger number and subtract the smaller number from it. So 5 minus 3 is going to give me a 2, and it will be a negative 2 because I had more negatives. Now guys, I'm going to tell you, I love equations. And one of the reasons I love equations is because you can check your answer when you're done to make sure that you've done it right. And that's great, especially if you have to take a test on this stuff. So let's go over here and do a check. So here's how our check works. I am going to take and plug my answer back in for x in any of wherever I saw an x in the original problem. Guys, always go back to the original problem, which was this thing up here, just so you can make sure that you didn't mess anything up as you went. So if I plug my negative 2 in, I'm going to have 3 parentheses negative 2, because anytime a number and a letter sit side by side, that means multiplication, minus 2 parentheses negative 2 for our x, plus 5, and I want to know, is this going to be equal to 5 minus 2? Well, the 5 minus 2 is really easy to do. We've already done it. 5 minus 2 is a 3. Let's go back now and check some of this other stuff. So what is 3 times negative 2? Well, 3 times negative 2 is going to give me a negative 6. And then we've got minus. Now, guys, please notice I'm using order of operations to clean this up. So we bring down our minus sign. What's 2 times negative 2? Well, 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4. Let me put that in parentheses just to keep track of it. And then we've got our plus 5. Well, can I clean anything else up here on the left side? Well, before I jump in there, I do want to recognize a minus a negative, because that's subtraction. I can change my subtraction to addition. Sign behind it goes to the opposite. So this is really negative 6 plus 4. So let me rewrite this. So you got negative 6 plus 4 plus 5. Is that equal to 3? Well, negative 6 plus 4 is going to give me a negative 2. And a negative 2 plus 5 is going to give me a positive 3. Oh, why, yes, that is equal to 3. What does that mean? We know that we got this particular answer correct.